Ladies and gentlemen, your hosts, Michael Wilkes, Angel Ortiz, Dr. Chad, and Sam La Cavera. Go check out beardedbrowns.com and be sure to like, follow, and subscribe. Enjoy the show.
Oh my goodness, it is a Christmas miracle. Look who is next to me, all the way from San Diego himself, Chad. He is real. He's not AI generated. He is an actual person. I got to shake his hand. We got to eat here at the wonderful Original Steak and Hoagies. We're live. Where's Mike, you ask? Well, Mike is probably wrapping gifts. I don't know what Mike's doing.
Being a responsible
He's
adult.
probably being a responsible adult, exactly. But me and Chad are here. We're going to go live. We're going to talk about this game. But let me first get this out the way. I'm at the Original Steak and Hoagies in West Park, Ohio. If you've never been to this location, you have to. It is an amazing location. The food is good. What did you have to eat? You don't remember?
I was literally looking up.
Oh, he was looking at the menu. I had the hot honey hamburger. Amazing. I had onion rings with a side of drink. It was amazing. Cody here is the owner. He served us himself. It was delicious. Chad is looking up his sandwich because
I want to get it right.
he wants to get it right. 'Cause we're about facts on this podcast.
The Whizzy Monster.
Whizzy Monster. How was it? Filling.
I'm
right?
not a cheese whiz on my steak guy, and I was like, I'm still going to do that one. It was, I didn't
Yeah.
finish it.
It was-
Full disclosure, I didn't finish it yet. It was incredible.
Yes. So come here. We have a new menu, bad ass menu where it's burgers and chicken sandwiches. Really good. Again, the location's in West Park. It's on Warren Roads between Cleveland and Lakewood. That's where we're at. So if you have time, it's open till 9. Come over here, get a sandwich. It's a place where you can sit down. You can talk to Cody, and he can serve you a sandwich, and he can give you his Browns opinion about how he feels about Shedeur Sanders. And you guys can fight about it. We'll sit here and we'll record it for you. Either way, thanks for everyone for tuning in. Share the feed, comment below. Let us know where you're listening from. Like Mike's in the chat. He said, nice to meet you, Chad. Mike, you could have been here, but instead you're in the chat. Either way, it's fine. It's good. It is good to see Chad. Shook his hand. We talked a little bit about the notes. We talked about the food. It's good to see Chad face to face, not just over the phone.
Yeah.
Over there. How
It
was
feels pretty natural. I was like, oh, it wasn't a weird introduction. Like,
No,
I don't
because
know
I-
you, 'cause I just see you so often,
yeah.
fakely.
every week? So so for those that are new to the podcast, Chad, me and Mike started this, and then Chad came on as a guest of because we were interviewing people that ran Browns backer clubs, and Chad was one of them. And then me and Mike afterwards was like, we kind of like that guy. Let's see if he wants to be a permanent fixture. And he said, yeah, to our surprise. And we're like, sweet. And I talked to Chad about this last week because it was me and him alone again. So you're going to get a couple of math guys that talk about stats and facts, but you might get some Shedeur fans, man. But I said what he brought to the show was something different, and it grew from there. Because for me, I've always been into stats and analysis and facts, but he brought a different level of that to where it's like, hey, guys, this is PFF scores mean something. Me and Mike was like, who PFF scores? But now we're like, hey, PFF scores do mean it speaks more of the game.
They don't seem like they mean that much until you get a chance to really like dive into them and compare them to a couple games you watch where you're like, okay, I'm kind of seeing where this fits. And I talked to somebody the other day on X for a little while about how you should not overrate them either. You should look at them in the context of like the information you're looking for. How did guys do in parts of the game I didn't see, or in games I didn't watch, or how are the guys I do watch, if their scores kind of resonate with you and they're kind of scoring to where you're like, yeah, this is kind of what I'm seeing in the game. It gives you a comparison point. So if you're watching Judkins and you're like, Judkins isn't getting a ton of yards, but I just see the talent. I see how well he's playing. you see his PFF score is pretty good, then you feel comfortable looking at his score versus some of the other running backs in the league. And I think that's where it can be pretty valuable.
Yeah. So it's meant for it's a tool.
It's meant to
To
cover what
use.
you don't see.
Yeah.
People are like, I like the eye test. Like, yeah, but you don't get to see everything.
Yeah, you don't see it.
So-
And the PFF scores does bring it just brings a different element to the game where you appreciate it. Like Mason Graham, for instance, like he doesn't fill up the stat sheet, but if you go to PFF, you'd be like, wow, his run blocking, that's why they couldn't run up the middle because his game, he was on point. And you don't think of a defensive lineman when it comes to that. You think of, did he get sacks? And sometimes it's about pressure rate. Sometimes it's about him being able to move the running back to the left where Miles is a better tackle for loss percent. So it's a lot deeper. So that's why we like it. What's up, Man Cave? Yeah, while they just commented below, shout out to the Man Cave podcast. Also to Game Time 216 podcast. Give them a follow. Cody, listen to him. I think it's his son, stepson. They run a podcast over there, and we're gonna get them on either way. They kind of interview them during the off season. But shout out to you guys. Game Time 216. They go live every Mondays and Wednesdays at 2:16. See the play on words there. 2:16 Eastern Standard Time. It's hosted by Bobby G and Big Mike. Big Mike should meet our Big Mike.
Yep.
And see who's bigger.
I was gonna say I got my bets on our particular Big Mike, but
Yeah, Mike is when I first met Mike, he
Mike's
dropped
stature
me.
is
Yeah,
no joke.
he dropped me off a mic when we first started. And I'm like, he was in the tow truck. I'm like, oh, cool. And I got off my van, and then he hopped off his tow truck, and I still was like, dang, dude, like you're massively tall.
What was I looking at? The picture of like him next to Bernie
Yeah,
Kosar or something?
yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, I know Bernie
Yeah,
Kosar's like 6'5". Like what?
Yeah, Mike's
Mike's
tall.
towering over this guy. Like
Mike is a tall guy. But yeah, come out here to this location. If you're in the area for lunch, it's good food. But we're here. We're gonna get into it today. Oh, I gotta ask, how was your travels?
awful. American
Awful.
Airlines, I am coming for you. So I'll give the short version of it because I'm too mad and I'll get madder if I actually tell the whole story. But basically, we showed up at the San Diego airport with plenty of time. Our flight was delayed 20 minutes.
20.
We never got another word from them, but they did start getting people off the plane and like they got us on at a reasonable time where it's like, okay, well, it's going to be more than 20 minutes because we'd have to get on this plane and then like take off in like 5 minutes. That's not going to happen. So we get on the plane. We sat on this plane for like an hour. So we were already delayed getting on. And then we sat on the plane for like an hour. What turned into like an hour and a half delay after the like, it would be 20 minutes. We had an hour and 40-minute layover in Dallas. And I was like, we are going to have to friggin' bolt to make this layover that we gave us all this time in case there's weather or something. We get to Dallas. My bag was pre-checked. It was a carry-on, but I checked it because they're like, we can get this plane off the air faster if some people will check their bags. So I was like, I'll go check it. Plus, we're going to have to sprint to the next airline. I won't bring it. So me and my wife end up getting there. We're like, we still got 20 minutes. We can make it to this plane. It's like not that far away. Run up the sky bridge. Like we're doing the escalator thing where the escalator is going up, but we're also running. So we're like sort of flying up this escalator, get to the top, crossover, sprint to our gate. We're like, yes, there's still like 12 minutes before this plane goes. We go running up. No one's there. The people in the gate next to them are like, oh, that plane just pulled off a minute ago. And we're like, what? It doesn't leave for like another like 10 minutes. And like, yeah, it left early.
Thanks for the announcement. Appreciate it.
I wouldn't have heard it. I was sprinting through the airline, but like there was no like Chad, report to gate A17. It was just like we were so mad that we were so delayed the first time and they didn't warn us or like, and then we still were like, okay, somehow we miraculously can make it. And you expect to get there. Every plane is freaking delayed except for this one left early. The one that I'm on. Was like, not only are we not delayed, we're not even going to wait for you. Even though we know your flight just landed like a couple gates down.
Yeah, you would think they
here.
normally would coordinate
We
that.
know
right?
you're
You have
here.
a late guy coming on here.
Like this couple is
That's
late.
weird.
We can see their plane is landed. We will like take a breath and let them on. Nope. So we ended up fortunately we got on another flight, but we ended up getting back to Cleveland 2 hours later. And like our dinner, we were supposed to have dinner with friends that first night. They were going to pick us up from the airport. We were all going to go to dinner. And then we ended up, by the time we finally landed, because our second flight was delayed a little, we got in at like 10:30 at night.
So you guys went to Denny's. They had Denny's. They had the Grand Slam. That was
We had
great.
nothing. We just went to their house and we're like, I guess we'll just have beer.
Fill up on some beer. Holiday travels, man. My wife always wanted. It's like, hey, let's travel on the holidays.
Being here was great though.
Yeah. What have you done? I know you just probably got here, but what have you
all
done?
we had was today, but I mean, I went down to, so I'm staying in Tremont, so I got to tour around Tremont a little bit, just a neighborhood I like
Tons
to
of
walk.
food.
And then I got to go down to East 4th area. My wife's not from here, but she actually really enjoys Cleveland. We went down to East 4th. We walked through there. We walked through the arcade. We did the typical tourist, even Cleveland local tourist thing of like taking pictures in the arcade. Like,
that's where Superman was filmed.
It's decorated beautifully. And by the way, I saw a Superman movie.
Yeah, it's actually, I was surprised myself.
First DC movie.
I was like, holy crap, this was good.
Job. It was witty.
Yeah.
It was charismatic. It was good. But there was a couple shots of Cleveland too that you
could
catch.
tell. Yeah.
And you're like, oh,
arcade's one of them.
They build up all the AI around like Terminal Tower, but you can see the Terminal Tower.
Yep. Progressive Field when they were fighting in the baseball diamond, you can tell that's Progressive Field.
Shots.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we got to do that, take some pictures, just typical stuff, like walk through some of the stores. That's like a fun area of Cleveland because it's also right by the casino. You can see Progressive there. You can see
it's not Rocket Arena.
I was about to say the Q.
Yeah, it is
see Rocket Arena again. So it was cool. So we've had a good time so far, and then most of the rest of this trip is going to be like family, Christmas,
family and family. Yeah, it's Christmas Eve. So that's what we do. Christmas Eve. My kids are excited. We do Christmas Eve. They woke up and they opened up a gift. No, my youngest, they do this thing at their school where they buy people gifts. We give them money and they buy people gifts.
Yeah, you buy people.
Yeah. So she bought us a gift. Ended up being one of those like happy holiday mats that you put in your door. So yeah, it was cool. Like it's thoughtful. My 7-year-old thought that's actually a useful gift. It's not like something you would throw away.
She didn't buy you like a toy.
No,
she bought, you guys gonna use this?
Yeah, you guys gonna use this or are you gonna give it to me? Yeah. Shout out to my little daughter for that. We're gonna get into this Browns game. It was a interesting game, none the least. It was a good game, very competitive, more competitive than I thought it was. But before we get into that, we're gonna get in the top story of the Deshaun Watson news. Deshaun Watson has been placed on IR. He is not going to play this year, despite everyone. I know you guys were excited. Everyone's anticipating another quarterback change. Hoping Shador would get out and Deshaun Watson will win 2 games, but that's not going to happen. He's going to be on IR, which is what we kind of expected, anticipated, especially you with your background, your medical background. You say, guys, it's not happening. Yeah. Even though I like to flirt with the idea that it might.
I understand too. I don't hate that they brought him back, given that there's like now they're down to just Sanders and Gabriel. And so at practice, he's been doing so much with Sanders from what we hear. So I think there's probably some merit to like, let's just bring him back. Because if we take him off IR in the window, he can come to practice for 3 weeks during like a pretty critical span.
Yeah.
And then we can, when he inevitably isn't going to be able to play or start, just send him back.
Yep. Can you get closer to the mic? Mike, shout out to Mike. He just texted me. I just want to make sure it sounds good. If this sounds good, let me know in the chat. Either way. So the question comes, right? What are you going to do with that money? The money that, he doesn't play, that big money that is owed to the Browns, that insurance policy. I used Jack Duffin from OBR.
Yeah.
If you don't follow him on X, that dude's smart as far as like coming down to like the penny and money.
Nobody else, and there's people that do it around the league, but there's nobody else that does it for Cleveland the way he looks at the salary cap, roster breakdown, and contracts.
Yes, he's very good. I actually am a subscriber to the OBR because they have a lot of good stuff that I recommend. If you run a podcast, those are tools that you can use, like Jake Burns' Browns film breakdown.
And podcast, but they also have guys that cover a lot of things that you won't have access to.
Yep.
Because we don't have, if you don't have credentials, like you made it to practice, but it's not like you get a chance to get the access some others do.
So basically he wrote this long article and basically it breaks down to this. the key numbers, like he went through every surgery Watson had, and I didn't know this, but they get money back for every game he missed. Basically, it's prorated. So if he misses a game, you get this much back.
And
through
from
the
what I
insurance
heard,
policy.
after he hurt his shoulder, that next year they upped his insurance following that injury,
Yeah, they're like,
which is why his insurance is not. I mean, he's going to miss the most games this year, but also I think he had a higher insurance
Yeah.
level, which wouldn't be that different from somebody like getting in a car accident and then being like, I should probably protect myself with better insurance. I only have liability or whatever. Or, and this car is pretty expensive. I should get better. So from what I heard, they did that
yeah,
and heightened the insurance.
And-
then,
good thing they did.
Yeah.
Because 2023 to shoulder surgery, Browns got only $1 million back. That would be this year, right? Is that how it works? If they did 2023, 2024, 2 years ago.
Yes,
Sorry,
you're right.
20.
So we got that money this year.
Yeah, we got that money this year.
Didn't help.
Didn't help much. It's only $1 million. 2024, the first Achilles injury, Browns got back $4.8 million. This year would have been that, or next year, one of those. It's basically it's a year before.
We'll get that next year.
Yeah, next year. And then in 2026, not this year, 2027, sorry, he will get, because he missed a full season, Browns will likely get 18 to 26 million back in 2026. So it's 18 to 26 million back. So why does it matter? So because a lot of fans get they think the Browns get the full $46 million back if Watson misses a whole season. That's not true. It's actually more likely half of that if you average out the numbers. So that's completely wrong. Even at the best case scenario, they're going to get back half. The catch, the money does not help this year's camp. It goes to credit to 2026. So they are still paying Watson the $46 million this year with no cap relief until next year. Bottom line, insurance helps soften the blow, but it's not a get out of jail free card. They're still eating about $20 to $28 million in dead cap for a guy who hasn't played in 2 years.
Which is why I think we'll get into it later, but it's relevant to have talked about that money because it tells a lot of people it's next year we still have Watson on the books and we don't get that extra credit towards the salary cap. So it's really 2027 that the Browns will be able to do what they did in 2020 and like spend big in free agency, trade for a guy that may cost more. And so I think a lot of people think it can be next year, and it's not like they can't do anything. It's just next year, I would imagine it's not the big spending year unless they can pick up guys next year with backloaded contracts where they're like, we can give you, $8 million this year, 18 next year, 24.
And Barry's good at that. He's good at figuring out we don't pay you now, we'll pay you later, and then we'll deal with that in a different time. And that's exactly how they maneuver this whole Watson situation. And Chad's right, 2027. And you brought up a good point. Like, is it worth bringing a new coach next year? Because 2027 is going to be a bigger year as far as what they can do as far as moves and who they can bring in as free agency and talent.
If we know this, then the guys coming into coach will know.
Yeah.
It's not like the guy coming into coach isn't going to know. They're not going to have all the assets next year that we want. It would be later down the line. They're going to know they're walking into something similar to what we see now. And so if you have a coach that's like, I'll come in, but I want to make a ton of changes, they are going to have to be patient and know that they won't be able to make them all right away.
So basically, you'll have next year with a new coach as a dummy year again. So our Browns fans are going to put. Now you can be lucky and be the Jacksonville Jaguars, and you thought it was going to be a dummy year, but then you're freaking top in the AFC, and you might be going to the Super Bowl. But I mean, it's just weird. We'll see. We're getting into Browns news, Browns talk, brought to you by Allstate Insurance. Call Dog White right now and get an insurance quote for next year, and then maybe you'll save more money like the Browns have when they took the Watson insurance. You see how that worked out. Okay, so it can work out for you.
I feel like that was our best transition to Doug White this whole time.
Yes.
Because of the whole Watson conversation.
Yes. Shout out to Mike. He actually put that in the comments, which made me think of it. Either way, speaking of insurance, Junkins. Hopefully he has good medical insurance because he got injured this past week. He injured his leg. It looked pretty bad. It looked worse than what it is. Now I'm speaking from someone who did not get injured, who's not in pain probably right now.
He looked in pain.
Yeah, he looked in
He
pain.
didn't look like one of those guys who's just frustrated. He looked like that.
Yeah, I thought he got.
That
I
hurt.
didn't realize it until I saw him hitting the ground and hitting his helmet, and I'm like, "What happened to him?" And I had to rewind it back, and I saw like, "Oh crap, he's hurt. That's not good."
Bad enough looking injury that you can't find it without that. You need like a YouTube video that somebody took off their TV and is like, I put it on because the network swept that off immediately.
Yeah,
Would be like, we're not going to show that again.
Yeah,
line.
Yeah, he's injured. He's on the cart now. It looks like a lower leg injury, but yeah, it's his knee. It's not bad. I wrote it down.
That we know of. Yeah,
That we know of.
reported, what nothing was reported for his knee.
Yeah,
which could be just a little tricksiness, but I wouldn't assume that. But there could be something we don't know. But they are just reporting an ankle dislocation and a fibular injury.
yeah.
What would be tricky is I don't know if the fibular the lower leg injury, tibia, fibula, it wouldn't really move me either way. Fibula is a smaller bone, much more breakable, consistently broken, doesn't cause a lot of long-term problems. The thing that we'll have to find out for his career was the ankle dislocated because the fibula broke and now that whole complex can move a lot, or did he have a lot of ligament damage and tearing in the ankle, and that's why the ankle was dislocated? That's a little more serious. I still think either way, as long as he's on a normal recovery protocol,
5 to 6 months,
he'd be back for the full season next year.
Yeah, so that's good news. So hopefully he doesn't miss any training camp like he did this year, and they can continue to proceed with playing him the way he was. Now that throw by Shador was questionable to begin with, but we're not gonna bring that up right now. But either way,
We got a lot of hate for that. And
Yeah.
then, like people probably felt kind of bad a quarter later when
yeah,
he's laying on the ground. And
yeah, that's not that
destroying him
throw.
on social media.
They talked about Dylan throwing hospital walls, but didn't bring that up. We're getting into other Browns news. Browns Pro Bowlers announced. You got Miles and Denzel. Miles is a starter. Denzel Ward, I might think, is the backup. But your alternates are Grant Delpit, special teams, Carson Schlesinger, Harold Fannin Jr., and Quinshawn Junkins, who probably will get substituted in. But it's good to see you've got 6 Pro Bowlers on a 3-12 team.
Yeah, this team's not completely void of talent. It's just they cannot get it together at the quarterback position. And there's other problems before you jump in the chat. Yes, we know the O-line has to be better.
And the receivers have to be
and
better.
Yes, we know the receivers have to be better. But like, I think sometimes people treat this team like they're devoid of talent and years away from competing. And like, just looking at this is not only are they not completely out of talent, they have Pro Bowl level talent at every level of the field, multiple levels of the defense, first, second, third level of the defense. And on the offense, like, I'm shocked Joel Bitonio wasn't a Pro Bowler just by name, although he's not having his greatest season. But there's talent there. Most of our talent there is very young. I'm surprised Harold got so much attention, but people are taking notice of him. But we also think that there's some young talent in other spots. So,
yeah, I mean, to speak of 4 of your 6 on defense, which makes sense because that's where you've been stacking up your picks at in the draft, which is a different conversation for a different day. Like maybe we should be switching on the offense this year, and maybe that's where they're going to be trending.
Good chance.
But you got 3-12 team. You have 6 Pro Bowlers, young, talented team. And we'll get into the Kevin conversation later, more of it later as far as the quarterback is concerned. But when people, and I'm not here, if they get rid of Kevin, it's fine. I'm not going to pound the pavement and protest down there.
I'm not even at that point. It's just not worth it. It's if they get rid of Kevin, it comes down to one thing: who did they replace him with now?
Yeah.
Right? It's not about Kevin anymore. It's about. I feel about Kevin the same way I feel about quarterbacks. Yeah, you can try to upgrade for somebody better. you better
Hopefully.
get somebody better if you're going to do that. if you're gonna
Yeah.
make that move.
And that's my point. It's like what was expected of him with the talent that is limited on offense. Like your defense is a lot better. So Schwartz is going to look like a lot better coach because your talent's a lot better. If the Browns offense were as talented as their defense, I think Kevin will look a lot better as a coach.
Yeah, I think it comes down to we judge. People say this all the time, drives me nuts. We judge everything by wins and losses, and I get why, because everyone will use that generic line. It's a bottom line business.
Yep.
Paper. What I want people to judge a coach by is both the offensive coordinator, the defensive coordinator, and the head coach. Is what is this guy doing with the pieces that he's handed? Stop judging them by the roster, because they may have input, but they don't make the final decisions on the roster. So when I hear like, oh, I don't like Kevin because I don't like Dylan Gabriel, he doesn't belong here. It's like, okay, but he could have been Kevin's favorite quarterback in the draft. It's still Andrew Berry's job to make that selection and like collaborate on that. And people say same thing like, I don't like him because the offense stinks, and he's an offensive-minded guy.
He's not calling plays anymore.
Okay, he's not calling plays anymore. He's also a offense and defensive-minded guy. He played defense in college. He was a defensive player through high school and college. So I guess I think of that more on the lines of like judge the offensive coordinator, the defensive coordinator, and the head coach on here are the pieces in front of you on your team. How did you handle it, and how are they doing? And for me, I look at the defensive coordinator and go, well, he's got a ton of great pieces, and he does pretty good with them most of the time. But sometimes
As we can see,
sometimes he actually disappoints me a little bit. Tommy Reese, first time offensive coordinator in the NFL.
And that's not talked about enough, by the way.
And he's got constantly shuffling pieces.
Offensive line sucks.
And he's trying to create an offense around, they always say, make an offense that suits your players. Okay, that's tough when we have different guys in every week at almost every position.
Yeah.
Now he's got to create an offense with Dylan Sampson and Rocket Sanders. And so like I give him a little leeway. And then yes, I get it. Stefanski, this is a second bad year in a row, and a lot of people hold that against him, and that's fair. That's where I'm like, I'm not going to fight you too much. But when I look at what he's given, especially on the offensive side of the ball, it's just not a situation I would want to be in. It's not a situation I think top coaches would want to be in. And so I would like to judge him on that level of, this is obviously not a situation that is meant to succeed. Are you making it look worse or better? And that's kind of where you have to make your own call, and that's going to be everybody else's opinion.
Yeah, it's that's where I like when people, I kind of like chat, you know, where people are like, well, he hasn't done much. It's like, well, I mean, he hasn't a lot of talent, you know, and I wish they would have been more balanced in that area. And a lot of people in the chat are pointing out that they had a great draft class this year. Yes,
They did, and
They did.
immediately two of the offensive
that's a
people that were drafted are now in the Pro Bowl.
Exactly. So when does Kevin get credit for it?
By the way, the difference too is this is not like, oh well, Harold Fannin was the 8th pick in the draft. This is a guy picked 67th, and the guy picked 35th are two people that made the Pro Bowl, because despite the lack of offensive line, shuffling quarterback play, and rough receiver play, they still found a way to utilize these two talented people so that they're in the Pro Bowl. So that's where I'm like, okay, so Tommy's got a little something. It's got to be better. It's tough for Stefanski. He's the tough one to judge. But honestly, like I said, I just don't think without a set franchise quarterback, any coach has a really easy route.
Yep. Yep. Real quick, I want to hit this up. Ryan Ruiz from the Cleveland Crunch. He's the co-owner. He said he's a supporter of the Bearded Browns podcast. Thank you. And by the way, follow our Cleveland Crunch podcast called Let's Go Crunch right now. It's out. Go over there and follow it on YouTube and all the other social media outlets. Ethan's doing a great job with that. But yeah, sorry, I got off topic there. But back to the weekly segment brought to you by the Bearded Bastards Barbecue Sauce. Bearded Bastards Barbecue Sauce. Go to www.beardedbastards.barbecuesauce.com. Mike hates when I use the WW in it, so I did that just for you, Mike.
HTTP.
Yeah, HTTP / the beardedbastards.barbecue.com. and use the code Bearded15. You save 15% off whatever you get on their website. It's our weekly segment here. It's the one that we've done too much, and it's to the point where it is straight bothersome. It's the good, the bad, and the ugly. So good, bad, and ugly. Again, brought to you by Bearded Bastards Barbecue Sauce. Go to beardedbastards.com, barbecuesauce.com, and just use the code Bearded15, and you will save 15% off your order. Speaking of good and talent on offense and in junior, it's the Browns rookie reception record with 67. He ended up with 70 total so far this year. He gets the good because of all the stuff that we can be negative about. You can point to the young talent on offense, which Kevin doesn't get credit for, and say, shout out to him. Shout out to the guy who makes us cheer. Also, we're going to get into a little bit more of his stats if you stay tuned. How good he actually has been this year on your Browns team. And once you get talent around him, it's going to be even more scary. You want to do the bad, Chad?
Yeah. It goes with what you said, because a lot of people feel once you get talent around him, things will be better. And God, I hope so, because the bad this week is Shador Sanders and this creeping interception issue that has derailed them the last couple of weeks. Man, guys, you just don't win very much when your offense turns the ball over a lot. It's one of the biggest indicators of losing a game is losing the turnover battle. And those multiple interception games, multiple games in a row is pretty bad and is trending. So hopefully he can turn that around. But right now, unfortunately, quarterback play is the bad.
Yeah, and I'll agree with James here when he said the ugly. Obviously, it's the Junkins injury. We talked about it a little bit in our opening. It's sad to see him go. He was having a great year. He was trending. I don't know if he would have got 1,000 yards, but getting close to that 1,000-yard rushing was great. And it seemed like he was rushing good against the Bills' defense. Yeah. So I think he would have probably hit another, maybe possibly 100 yards during that game. But it sucks to see a guy with that talent. And it kind of brought shades of Nick Chubb, PTSD Nick Chubb, when you saw that happen to him.
For sure.
But pray for his well-being. It sucks, man. It sucks seeing it. Sucks.
You would just feel better, like knowing this year is pretty much over. You just want to get through the rest of it healthy. Honestly, the best thing that could happen to this team is probably not winning any more games, though I'm not counting them out of the next two. And just knowing what you're coming back with next year. And now, instead of being like, well, he had all these great rookies, they're all coming back, you have one with a giant question mark.
Yeah.
Because even though I expect him back, given what was reported on the injury, when will he be back to form? You guys know for me, it's always like, yeah, okay, it's an 8-week injury. That's when he can start working out hard.
Yeah.
But will he have the same confidence? Will he have the same burst? Will he be hesitant to take hits? Like, he's a bowling ball and one of the best tackle breakers and yards after contact guys in the league. Does that change now that he watched his leg get absolutely brutalized? Like, does that change his mentality a little, or can he come back as strong as he left? So it's a bummer to have a question mark on one of the brightest spots of the team coming out of the season.
Yeah, and that's something you don't want to see. Hopefully, the rookies that we currently have that are playing well, it doesn't get injured. We'll see though. You can't play, be worried about getting hurt because you get hurt. But at the same time, as a fan, you're like, that's something you think about. Next, we're about to get into the game recap brought to you by Lego Head's Barber Saloon. Lego Head Barber Saloon, located in Berea, Ohio. Go there and give Marlon a huge hug and say, listen, the Bearder Brown sent me. They say, you know how to trim a good beard or cut some good hairs and give me some of that good beard oil so I can look as good as Angel does on the show because he's so cool. He's so cool.
I should have probably planned to book.
Yeah, you're here to the weekend. Just book it with him.
Maybe.
If you do, let me know. Maybe I can meet you up there.
Puppy B is
He'll give you a fade. You'll go back to California. They're like, ooh, Chad, you look. You're like, yeah, that Cleveland cut, dog. Cleveland cut. But the game recap, we're going to start with the defense. Obviously, we're going to start with Miles getting his half sack. Now, it's been a big debate on the socials. You know, I'm on the socials. If this sack should be counted. Miles with the easiest half sack in league history. That's what I'm calling it. He was down. Mason Graham tagged him. Mason Graham rose his hand because he wanted credit for it. But yet they give half the credit to Miles. And I understand why. Because they said that he impacted the rush to allow Allen to run.
Yeah.
But to give him a
And
half
had-
sack for that?
I think had first of all, ooh, that is a fortunate half sack for a guy
Yeah.
chasing a record. Probably the most fortunate half sack that's been given. And I get why. Like the reasoning makes sense. I would say if Graham had just gotten him and tackled him, then you probably aren't thinking of it. But the fact that they are giving it to him, basically saying like the chase is what caused him to fall ahead of time, and maybe Graham got there first, but the two of them are what caused the fall and for him to like collapse at the 1 yard line. I get it, but also that was the ultimate reach by Garrett even to like get a hand on him, and there was multiple people there.
Yeah, I personally,
Officially the record.
yeah,
It's officially official.
I'll be
so-
honest with you. Mason touched him before at least this is my perception.
No, he definitely touched
Yeah, he touched him
Miles.
before because Miles was like doing this. He
I
was
think
pawing
the
at him.
reasoning, that's
Yeah.
why I was glad to hear the reasoning, because the reasoning is like, well, he was already down. He just needed to be tagged, but he was
Yeah,
down
they say
because
he
Miles
impacted. Yeah, he impacted
caused
the run.
him to scramble back and fall. And then Mason got there to make the tag, so he gets the other half.
Yeah.
But
You hear the Steelers fan crying about it. And I believe in that as a Browns fan. I kind of, and obviously Chad agrees, like it's kind of ticky-tack. Yeah, but I'm glad they gave it to him. I'm not complaining. But it's one of the half easiest sacks in the world. But either way, Miles is still better than Watts.
I will also say this, because if this comes down to arguing with Steeler fans, and I know they're going to come after you Browns fans, that half sack was barely counted. Okay. TJ Watt had his sack record and he played less games. Just remember, if you're going to start talking about games and numbers, I think as of the last time I read, TJ Watt had played like 200 more total passing downs. We'll see how this ends, but TJ Watt's record took like 650 passing downs, and right now the Browns are at like 450 passing downs. So there needs to be like another 200 passing downs in the next two games for Miles to have gotten as many chances as Watt. And so if somebody is going to give you that BS argument, make sure to remind them it's not really about how many games they played. It's about how many rush chances they got against the quarterback. And because the Browns are bad and teams don't have to throw at the end of the game to beat them, they can run. Miles just gets like 20% less attempts than all of these other guys who are in that same world.
Yeah, and I did. Don't quote me on this, but Miles does has less snaps, but more sacks this year. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, but what it basically comes down to is like, yeah, he's played more games, but the teams don't throw on us nearly as much as they threw on Pittsburgh, or even before that on, was it Green Bay?
Yeah.
Each team, because it's the whole list. If you look at Miles is right now, I think, third on the list. But if you look at like the top 10, all of them had more passing snaps when they made their record of 21, 21 and a half, 22, 22 and a half than Miles has had so far. All of them. So Miles, if he breaks this record, will very likely break this record with the absolute least passing downs. So even though there's more games this season, the record's very legit.
Yeah, but he'll do it in 16 games, most likely, if he does it against Pittsburgh. And Watt did it in 16 games. So, I mean, it's even, in my opinion.
I think Watt might have missed a game that season. It
Oh,
doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't
He
matter.
just
But
has
either
so
way,
many more snaps.
points to point.
Yeah.
That's snaps.
Just don't take that crap argument.
Yeah, don't take
the
it.
basics. Is
Push him back or punch him in the face.
just say
either
like
way.
if on the pace that Miles at, if he had as many passing down as Watt, he would have like 28 sacks. He'd actually be demolishing this record if the Browns were just any good.
Yeah.
Even kind of good.
Speaking of the run game this week, actually the last couple of weeks sucked. Really sucked bad. And the question would have to be why. And then for me, I'm a guy that does, well, let's look at cause and effect, right? So the cause of the running game being down, in my opinion, would be the effect of Malik Collins going down, because it seemed Malik Collins going down has impacted the run game being that bad. So then you have to ask yourself, well, why is that? And I would have to either point to either Mike Hall Jr. or my boy Mason Graham as the cause, because it seems like the runs are happening up the middle, in which was limited before. What is your take on that and the PFF? We were thinking about the PFF because I thought maybe did Mike Hall have a bad game, because I know he's had a couple bad games recently and against, because he's coming off injury, so he's still getting his feet from underneath, getting his sea legs back. But do you think Collins had that big of an impact
Yeah,
in the run defense?
We talked about this in the last game too, because they got run all over
Yeah.
by the Bears, and we were like, man, with Collins out, they're really letting it up. So I thought, okay, but one game, Bears can run the ball. Who knows? And also, like, I had a hard time believing Collins was that impactful. 2 games is kind of a trend. We're like, no, that's 2 weeks in a row. Now it's 2 good running games, 2 good running teams, but 2 weeks in a row makes it feel like Collins was more of a asset against the run. But when you're looking at the scores, I see Malik Collins was having a great year. He was 13th.
This is his best year.
tackles.
Yeah, best.
Yeah,
year
it
in
was an
his
incredible
career.
year for him. But he wasn't, his run defense wasn't
Oh, really?
what he was running off of. His pass rush, which, I mean, he was like number one in pressures for defensive linemen, and he had 6.5 sacks. So he was number one in sacks for defensive linemen. And PFF kind of confirms that his run defense is under 60. His pass defense was 87. That's like elite. And so it makes me go back to the drawing board of like, is it more his presence and making sure everybody knows what they're doing?
Leadership.
More impactful,
Yeah.
his leadership, and because as great as Carson Schwarzenegger is, he is a rookie, and that's not typically Bush's role. Grant Delpit is way back. Myles Garrett is super elite, but he's not the guy that's on the defense making sure everyone's caught up on assignment, seeing emotion and knowing what everybody's doing. So it almost makes me wonder if Malik Collins' presence was that important. Was it just his leadership and drive on everybody? Because Shelby Harris had a good game this last game. Mason Graham had a great game. I think Mike Hall is not the player currently that Malik Collins was this year. And I still have hope for him, but that's asking a lot.
Yeah, I mean, and
elite.
there's some reporting of his work ethic coming off the injury and now, but we'll wait until next year. Hopefully that's not a trend.
And it could be actually partly the injuries. Like we talk about that all the time. You're just not great when you get going after an injury. Watson came off that shoulder injury, and he looked nothing like the way he ended the year before. It just happens all the time. Nick Chubb came back and was averaging 2.9 yards a carry for the first game or two he was back in the NFL, and finished at 3.3, and we know that's a 5 yard a carry back. It just, after an injury, you're just not yourself that next season if that's when you come back.
James Cook on our defense, 117 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yep.
Longest run of 44, 7.3 yards per carry, 16 carries. He no pun intended, but he cooked our defense. And even if this game was even closer, I actually think the defense probably got better as the game went on against it. And that's what Jim Schwartz seemed to do well, is adjust well. But the fact that the defense, it's confusing.
Credit for the defense. It wasn't one of those fourth quarters where they were just beaten down, tired, and the skies open up on them and just pour down, where it's like, oh, we held them to 17 points this whole game, and then the fourth quarter they score 3 times, and the defense is just done. They're just out of it. This was one where they were able to buckle down a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think they're not the reason we lost this game. They held one of the most powerful offenses and MVP level quarterback to 23 points, and that's a winnable game if you can just put out some offense.
Speaking of offense, we're about to get into the offense aspect of it. First, before we get into Shador's passing, one thing I've noticed the last 3 weeks in a row, Shador has led the team in rushing again this week, 4 carries, 49 yards for Shador Sanders running. That's an average of 12.3 yards a carry for your quarterback who is running, which is an aspect of his game I like.
Yeah, I didn't expect it.
Yeah, but it is one of those things. Well, if they kind of develop this guy and he uses his legs, that's kind of like not Lamar Jackson esque, but like you got to keep it in the back of your mind as a defender. He can take off, and that's a tool that he can use.
Yep.
Next up, we're gonna get Chad talking about his because people like when Chad talks about Shador Sanders. Is let's talk about it, the analytic part or the analyst part of his game this week, specifically his 3 interceptions, which didn't seem to be an issue, but it is. Shador Sanders had 3 interceptions.
And that's what 5 or 6 in the last 2 games.
Yeah, 5.
5 in the last 2 games. That's what we're talking about. That trend, like that's not good, guys. That's for everybody who is like, I like that he moves down the ball down the field. Yep, me too. I like that he can make an explosive play, but what you don't want to be is in Jameis Winston territory, where it's like if you're out there, you can make explosive plays, but teams know if they pressure you, you'll also make big mistakes because then they're going to continue to do that, and you either make them pay for it and they have to change what they're doing, or you succumb to it and they're like, perfect, this is exactly what we wanted.
Yeah, sorry, it was 2 interceptions. 2 interceptions with Buffalo. That's what they
Buffalo.
have. 2 and 3 with Chicago,
Three
so
with
it's
Chicago,
5.
so it's
But
5
there's
games.
6 within the last, altogether 6 in the last 3 weeks. So you're averaging 2 interceptions the last 3 starts. And that is a recipe in which Kevin doesn't like, is the turnover ratio.
Yeah, and nobody does.
Yeah,
But
no one does.
I do think it's pretty well publicized that the difference is some quarterbacks are like, I'll deal with the interceptions if you make explosives the other way.
Yeah.
I think Kevin particularly is like, I would just rather control the ball than risk the interceptions. And so he's just a little bit more pulled back on that.
Yeah. He's 157 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, a 64.9 passer rating, I believe.
Yeah. And it's worth noting that the Bills have a pretty good passing defense, and people pointed that out, and they're right. Their overall defense is not great. Their passing defense is pretty good in terms of passing yards allowed. The problem is the average passing yards they allow, we still came in below average by like 15 yards.
Yeah.
So we still couldn't even get up to like what other teams are passing on them. And part of that's because we turned the ball over on multiple occasions. And so that takes away chances to get the passing yards.
Yeah, I think Shador Sanders, his air yards that this week was 2.2. So there's a lot of checkdowns. Now they did do cover 2. They took off the deep ball and probably protecting from Bond, which is what they obviously teams are preparing themselves. Well, he likes to throw it to Bond downfield, so we're going to protect against that and let him beat us underneath. So now he's got to adjust to that. And I think
again, that's kind of what we talked. Like teams are watching him. We heard last year, and we brought it up on the show that they mentioned in Chicago. We know Sanders really likes to go to Fannin. That's his go-to. So part of our defensive plan was to back off of Fannin and then try to jump routes. And that was how they got one of their interceptions. They just kind of faked Sanders out by giving looser coverage, but then jumped the route on Fannin and got an interception. They have also now learned, and this is what every rookie quarterback goes through, he really likes to go downfield to Bond. So defenses are at the point of the season where they can be like, okay, so we'll soften our coverage on Fannin on his short routes, but then try to get to him. But we're also just going to go a level deeper so Bond can't get behind us.
Yep.
And then we take that away and force Sanders to make all these short passes. And it sounds like the start of the game, he kind of did do that, but eventually it caught up to him and he couldn't keep that rhythm going.
Yeah, and I thought from a decision game outside of the interceptions, one was batted, which, by the way, that was a big knock on Dylan Gabriel's balls being batted.
Yeah.
It seems like Shador's getting balls batted too.
Yeah, and somebody brought it up in the chat. What up?
deflection.
Like, was his interceptions on deep ball? Oh, James, yeah, no, the interceptions were not on deep balls, and they haven't been. What we're saying is not like defenses are looking for that. More like they're going to take away the deep ball to make him make these shorter passes, and now they're getting interceptions. And yes, they were on deflections, but one of them was off Judkin's back shoulder, which is a throw you cannot make to your non-pass
Yeah,
catching back.
So we're going to park it there for a second. A lot of people would say, well, Judkins should have caught that. When I saw the pass, I thought to myself, he should have led it. He should have led the pass and allowed Judkins to catch the ball like this as opposed to like this. And what Chad said.
And that's what they're going to say in film. When they watch film, they're going to say,
Yep.
If it was Jamar Chase, maybe he comes down with it. They're not going to say anything to Quinshon Judkins now because he's out. But if they would have said it, the running back coach would have told him, you got to come down with that. But realistically, when the coaches are looking through the film together, they're going to look at each other and go, dude, there's no way Judkins pulls that down. Like Shador has to lead that pass. It's not one of your receivers. It's definitely not an elite receiver. And it's not even your pass catching back like Dylan Sampson. It's your rushing back.
Yeah,
I'm not saying you can't
have
catch,
to make it easy,
but you have to make it easier to catch.
Yep.
Yeah, you're completely
and
right
the
on
thing
that.
too is, and Mike says we're fanboying. We're saying Shador made a good read, but he didn't. His ball placement was wrong.
Yeah.
His ball placement should have been to where you have the running back who's pretty quick, continue to run in the process of catching, so he can get his yak yard.
Yeah.
Even if he would have caught
you
that,
want to do that with everybody. The reality is you just have to do it with them.
Yeah.
Right.
The problem is, even if he would have caught that, he would have stopped and he would have been short of the first down.
Yeah, and the other thing, it's
I know
about.
we're nitpicking. I get it, but
No,
this is something that needs
it's
to
worth
be
saying
said.
though,
Yeah.
this isn't a problem I'm worried about with Shador in the long run. He's a pretty accurate
See,
passer.
Dan agrees with
He would just agree that was probably not a great ball. Like if they interview him, he's going to say, and he's going to be right, I need to put that ball in front of Quinshon on that. But not a giant worry as far as Sanders, because I don't think his ball placement is a giant problem. The only reason we're talking about is because people are going to say that interception is Quinshon's fault, not his, and he will admit that one's his fault. He needs to put it in a place where his running back can get it more easily, and it doesn't get intercepted. And then as for the second one, guys, he's looking right at Bosa. It's coming right at him, and he tries to lob it over him. This is one of the most athletic defenders in the NFL. He has to know that guy's going to jump and get his hands on that ball. He's lucky he didn't just jump up and grab it.
Yeah.
Like right out of the air. And that is the second interception in the last, I think, 2 weeks where the defender was he was looking right at the defender.
That was
tried to lob it over him.
Yeah, Fannin.
And the defender got over him. He needs to learn how to arc these balls when there are defenders in his way.
It's
He's
weird
got the
because
right
I
height.
thought he was good. He is good with that. It's just probably just a bad judgment because he is good. There was a pass that game where he arced it over, and I think Junkins or Raheem caught it and was able to run downfield a couple yards for it. He's good at that. It was just a bad decision in that moment.
He's just learning.
Yeah.
He's looking at Bosa and he's saying, I can pop it over this guy. And now he has learned.
Here we go. Look.
We can't get it over these guys. These guys are too athletic for me to toss over. Just like he's obviously learned from preseason on, I can't just spin around and run circles around these guys. They'll catch me. Maybe if I'm caught, I can spin out and just bolt, but I can no longer weave.
Go 50 yards behind.
Yeah, he's now learned the speed of the defensive players are going to limit him from being able to juke and dodge and spin. Now he's learning probably in the last 2 weeks. He just has to fix it. I can't just lob it over these defenders. I need to change my arm angle and throw around them the way we've seen from some of these really arm talented guys like Cam Ward and I mean, some guys are just
Caleb
incredible
Williams.
at it.
Yeah, Caleb Williams is my
Caleb
one of my
Williams did
favorite.
one on us where he just flipped his full sidearm. Sanders is going to have to learn, I need to practice my mechanics on some different angles, or I need to pump fake or look somebody off and get this throw off so they're not timing my arm and going and jump.
All that stuff is learnable too. And we're not saying he can't. That's the thing. Here's the plus side. All that stuff is teachable and learnable.
He's learning it the
And
hard
he's
way,
learning
though,
it.
unfortunately.
Yeah. And I want to bring up what 617 Fannin was open in the sticks. Yeah. Here's the deal. The defense knows Fannin is open, and the defense knows that Shador's going to go to Fannin.
Yep.
And we're going to get into statistics about that here in a second.
They're watching.
Yeah, they're watching. And Shador needs to know they're watching. So eventually he's going to have to look off of Fannin because the interception in Chicago came off Fannin.
Everybody has their go-to guys, and that's not weird, but you have to know
be
how to
smarter.
Yeah, you have to know how to make it not obvious on a particular play. You're going to them because defense, the Bears straight up said, We knew he was going to Fannin. We
Yeah.
wanted to bait throws to Fannin that we could pick off. Like, so if they know it and they've announced it publicly, everyone knows
Everybody,
it.
everybody, like
And it's
fans
fine.
know
I
it.
like
We
that he
know
goes to
it.
Fannin. I like that he has a go-to
Yeah.
guy, but he just needs to evolve in the next 2 weeks.
Yep.
It's asking a lot. That's short timing, and
Yeah,
how
we
to
could get in that.
pull guys off of him, pump fake, look off, like different little things, or just complete a couple passes to somebody else so the defense
And
isn't
that's-
so aware of.
And
him.
that, as a fan, you're thinking, well, that's a problem because Judy's not getting open. This person, I wrote down the separation rate. I totally forgot to put in my notes. I'll bring that up next week. So stay tuned for that. But speaking of Harold Fanning, and I didn't understand how great of a rookie season he was. I understand he's got the Browns rookie, and people are like, "Oh, it's the Browns. They suck." That means nothing. But this guy's having a heck of a rookie season. Clip this, okay? Harold Fanning Jr. is having a great rookie season. 70 receptions so far. That's a Browns rookie reception record in general. But what's more impressive is his target shares as a tight end, as a rookie tight end, is top 5 in the league. Now, you could say, Angel, what does that mean? There's some good tight ends in the league. If you watch football, you understand there's some good tight ends. There's McBride.
This may be like the all time. I mean, we've had great tight ends for years, and tight ends took another leap in the NFL in the 2010s. But right now may be the best collection of tight ends
100%.
that we've ever seen.
So Fannin is number 4 as target shares, meaning he is being targeted on offense. Your tight end, your rookie tight end, who's 3rd round, is being targeted 22% of the time on offense, because it's 21.97. To let you know who's in front of him. Trey McBride, Arizona, tight end, superstar. I don't know if you guys heard of this guy. His name's Brock Bowers.
The
Brock Bowers.
entire Las Vegas offense for 2 straight years.
Yes, he's number 2. Kyle Pitts, Atlanta Falcons. He's number 3. Harold Fanning falls number 4. Right underneath him, barely underneath him with 21.16%. George Kittle. Number 6, Tyler Warren.
Future
superstar, rookie also.
He's gonna be awesome.
Number 7, Zach Ertz. And the reason why Tyler Warren isn't as good right now is probably because his quarterback play too. Tyler Warren, number 6, Zach Ertz, number 7, Dalton Schultz, number 8, Dallas Goddard is number 9, and Travis Kelce's number 10. I did a top 12 because you recognize some of these. Tucker Kraft, who's injured right now, he doesn't have much
Surprise
to do.
superstar.
Surprise superstar. He's number 11 out of Green Bay, and Sam Laporta, who's Mr. Consistent, is number 12. He's amongst the top tight ends as far as target shares on your team.
I mean, these are like the future of the tight end position mixed with a couple of like superstar level vets in George Kittle and Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert and Travis Kelce. So you have these like all-time high-level tight ends, and then you have them mixed with like every tight end that would have been taken in the first round or should have been over the last several drafts.
Yeah.
So for a guy that was picked 67th with the Browns' 3rd round pick, surrounded by all of these guys who are either like long veterans or definitely guys that were like 1st round top talents, like that's awesome, guys.
So let's put this in perspective as like, let's narrow it down now to the team. So the Browns team, the receptions in which Sanders or our quarterbacks can throw to as far as shares this year. You have Jerry Jeudy, who's your wide receiver 1 technically, is getting 19.46% of the target shares, which is 2nd on the team, and he's rated 41 as a wide receiver in the NFL. Ranked 41, number 2 on your team. Tillman right now is ranked number 92 with 10.47. Isaiah Bond is 101 target shares in the league at 9.19. So as a team, we also have to think Kevin and Tommy throws to running backs. So we have to also factor in Judkins is at 36. As far as running backs, target shares, catching, he's rated 36 with an 8.26%. And Sampson's right behind him, 38 with an 8.10 target shares. So I say all this to tell you, he is leading the team in target shares. A rookie tight end that was drafted in the 3rd round is not only being targeted and catching the ball, but the defenses are planning to play against this kid.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's not just that he's been targeting; it's that he's being targeted in this offense so often. Defenses know he's being targeted that much in this offense, and he's still having an incredible season as far as catches, contested catches, yards after catch, total yards, touchdowns. Like, the guy is just succeeding, even though our quarterback situation has been shifty at best. Defenses are keying in on him, and he's a rookie, like, second day, kind of mid-round guy. Like, if there was an alpha dog, which we don't do on losing weeks, so there isn't one.
He would
but
be
if there
one.
was one,
He would be it.
he is.
You probably
the alpha
would have
dog.
had his share of awards, and he would have. And it's too in the chat they bring up the fact that he has good yak yards. That too. He's not only catching and falling, because we have tight ends that did that tier 2, but he's also carrying men, grown men.
Cooper jumping every time they throw to him,
Yeah.
even if it's chest level. Like, don't jump.
Yeah,
You're open. Keep running.
he's carrying men for yards above what is normal.
I think he and Judkins they duel, and this is saying a lot because Judkins, like, yards after contact, tackles broken for a rookie have been awesome. He challenges Judkins in terms of which one of these guys will not go down, which one of these guys is harder to bring down, because both of them refuse to go down at first contact. Both of them know where the first down line is and will, like, tear themselves in half to try to get to it. It is the element that I used to love most about Kareem Hunt's game. And it's, despite everything that's going on around me, my job is to get this ball and get it as many yards as I can. And on every single carry or time that Bannon touches the ball, he feels like he's scraping for every yard every time. And it is a mentality that I need other people on this team to pick up on. When you have this, like, when everybody in Cleveland was, like, obsessed with this Jarvis thing, where he's just basically, like, screaming at the team that we need a better culture, we need enough excuses, like, we need to be tougher. Like, that is Harold Bannon. So I don't know what he's like as a leader in the locker room or anything yet. We'll hear more about that as he comes along as a veteran.
Yep.
By example, he is who should be getting pointed at every film session as that's how you carry the ball.
Yeah.
You do not go down. You look for the first down line. You get every yard every time, because 2nd and 4 is so much easier than 2nd and 5. And that is maybe one of the most exciting players that we get to recycle back next season.
Yeah, it's exciting to see him. He's obviously, like you say, he's going to grow. He's going to be coming to his own. And I think he get better. He can be better if they draft a pass blocking tight end, and that's not his responsibility. But I understand that he has a tight end. You got to block the tight end.
Yeah, he could have more consistent quarterback play. Even if it's Sanders, he'll be better next year than he is this year. We could have an offensive line that allows more opening. We could have receivers who are more of a threat and pull the defense away. We just said they're keying in on Bannon.
Yeah.
If we have receivers that don't allow them to do that, if Jerry Jeudy rebounds to form, if they bring in a receiver in the draft, like, there are many ways that the Browns can help Bannon. So to see him doing this well with, like, nothing stacked in his favor will be awesome.
And obviously the odds are against him because defense will be planning.
Right.
Last question on the offensive side. There's a question amongst the social media, amongst the radios. I want to see what Chad's take is on this, that Kevin turns his quarterbacks to be too conservative. Basically, he's turning them to be a conservative Christian Republican. Basically, is what they're saying, that they're so conservative that they lose who they are in the midst of playing the game.
The Browns offense is now anti-abortion.
Anti-anything. Anti whatever. Okay. Either way, do you agree with that?
I see why people would say that, and I actually won't fully disagree. I think there's a mix. I think he tries to reel in quarterbacks because, like we talked earlier, he dislikes turning the ball over more than he values an explosive. And I think there are some head coaches that are kind of more equal, like, okay, you can throw a pick as long as you make a big play here.
Yeah.
I think he's very
That's a
like,
good
we
point.
want to control the game. So turnovers are, he would be happier with a guy that only threw it 5 to 10 yards at a time all the time, but never turned it over, than a guy who will burst explosive plays, but risks turnovers more. But where I'll disagree, and I won't say he turns them too conservative, I think he wants somebody who can make a play out of construct. Like, I think you want
Structure.
I think when they looked at him with Watson, like, can you make this work? And he's like, well, if I can teach Watson this offense, his ability to like also extend a play and make something out of nothing becomes a bonus. And so, but what he doesn't want is that to be the default. Like, I want to make plays out of the offensive like construct, or I want to play off timing plays, or I want to run for it a bunch. He wants his quarterbacks to reel that in and only do it like when it's gonna, when you need to make a big play. If it's 4th and 2 and the play breaks down, sure, run around and try to spin it to somebody. But on a play-to-play basis, he would rather you control the ball. So I guess it's I'm kind of doing a cop-out, but yeah, I think he does dial quarterbacks in and try to make them more conservative, but I don't think he's afraid for them to make a play in their element. I just think he would rather that was the outliers instead of the norm.
I feel I get your point. I get what people say, and I agree to an extent. But what does a coach needs to do? What does a coach need to do when he sees? And I think it's a small sample size with Watson. Again, he was very small. He didn't play here a lot, right? I mean, he was hurt most of the time. He's been hurt most.
We trash his play, and I'm
Yeah.
like, God, the guy never played more than 6 games in a row.
Yeah. So it's hard.
How good could you be?
Yeah, that small sample size where it's to me is hard to agree with. They point to Baker and they say, well, Baker, he limited him, and now look what he did at Tampa. But then when you look at what he's doing in Tampa this year, you kind of see he's coming back to the mean of where he normally would play at. So I have arguments to go against it, but I do see the argument of, you know what, let them play and let him learn from it type of argument. But Kevin's been burnt with that too, because Jameis Winston, he let him play and he threw him out of games. So it's like Kevin is stuck between a rock and a hard place. He says, this young guy, if I don't teach this out of him, he's going to continue to do it, and then I'm not a good coach.
Yeah. In the long run, he doesn't want Flacco or Jameis.
Yeah.
He would rather have 2020 Baker. It's just Baker's play was never the problem. Baker's attitude and the way he interacted with Kevin was more of Kevin's problem. And again, I think they would have been happy to move on with Baker, and they would have made it work if they didn't think they had this one shot at a guy that they perceived to be elite, who was at the time. But there gets a lot of like, oh, he just didn't like Baker. And I'm like, I think he liked Baker enough to play with Baker. I get why Baker would be difficult, and it didn't work out. But like, I think he was able to reel Baker in Baker's 3rd year, and it made him much better.
Yeah.
People are just equating to like reeling a guy in and making him more conservative is you make him worse. But Baker was flashy in 2018, didn't have a good enough record. Flashy in 2019, but actually, I would say got worse, like declined a little bit.
Yep.
And then in 2020, by reeling him in and making him a little more conservative in ball control and allowing him to still make some big plays downfield off play action when it counted, he took us to a 12-win season and a playoff win. That's what he wants, I think, is that in between, like, I want you to reel it in and then be able to threaten with a big play, but I don't want to just spend our time launching it downfield. I want to control the ball, control the game, give our defensive rest time, use the run, like mix it up.
So I think people look at Kevin's offense and don't understand that he's not the coach that's going to say, look downfield and then come in with your reads. He's a work your way out there reader. So work your first read's going to be in, second read middle, third read out. I think at times that's his offense.
And if he had a quarterback he trusted more, that then maybe he would say like, yeah, fling it. But the quarterbacks he's had that wing it so far have thrown so many interceptions that Flacco in that playoff game, we didn't have a shot. Jameis was really fun to watch. I liked having him here, but once he'd start to like really let it rip, it's oh my gosh, we can't win throwing this many picks. Yeah. And like we said, there's 6 interceptions in 3 games. Teams are not going to win consistently like that. You're going to lose almost all your games if you're throwing 2+ interceptions a game.
The last 2 games, you're 4 turnovers, 5 turnovers, you're -5.
Sanders gets better, and next year he trusts them, and he starts being more successful winging it down the field. I think you kind of would learn to let that go, but you're not going to do it on a young quarterback that if Matt Stafford came here and played next year, I feel like he'd be like, yeah, you can let it rip a little bit because he's been proven to be able to do that. But Sanders, Gabriel was never going to do it anyway.
Yeah, we kind of see
Gabriel wouldn't do it.
Yeah, we kind of see that. Like he did it with Gabriel a couple of times and ended up being a pancake in the face because he threw picks or it didn't seem like it got there quick enough. I think he has trust, and I think even if you listen to his press conference, he did say where he's getting better. And what I do like about him is his ability to throw the deep ball, and it opens up the offense. I just think the issue now is the defenses know that, so they're playing against it. They're playing that too high now, and Pittsburgh will probably do the same thing. And Cincinnati will probably have a better game because their defense sucks anyways. And you'll see it open up.
I am so terrified of the Cincinnati game because I'm afraid we're going to
it's
win it,
happen.
and we don't really deserve
it's gonna
that
happen.
Win.
It's gonna happen.
They're clearly a better team than us anytime.
I'm worried about the Pittsburgh game because Metcalf's not playing.
I know
for 2 games, so that's a winnable game because that's the number one.
Isn't it sad? I'm worried about winning because I'm just not sure that winning now. I'm like so pro winning, so anti tanking, but then you get to this point where you're like, we don't really deserve the wins. We really need the.
Yeah, pick. You can get 2 wins. You can move back, and the plus side is you can do what I've been saying: get your talent, keep Shador for next year. And see what he does.
That's still on the table. I think even if they pick high, that's on the table. Who knows? Somebody might be like, we'll give you 3 firsts for the quarterback. Yeah, and like I don't love him that much. Yeah, you can have him.
We need never know. We need to make up for the picks that we lost.
And 3 firsts, like okay, we'll give Sanders another run, and some of these firsts are for next year. Thanks, Jets or whoever. Who knows?
Okay, we're gonna get into the last segment of the night. This place closes down here soon, so we don't want to be rude. But we're gonna play the blame game, brought to you by whatever advertiser we have not advertised yet.
Cleveland
Ketchup. Yes. Cleveland Ketchup. Go to clevelandketchup.com and use the code BEARDED for 10% off. Yeah, he said he went somewhere.
I forget. So I was at the Christmas Story House yesterday.
Oh.
What is the name of the bar that's right across the street? Begins with an R. Anyways, go to it if you want. I don't care if you go. And we walked in late and I looked at all the tables and they all had Cleveland ketchup and Cleveland mustard on it. And I was so excited. I was like,
we gotta talk to the hoagies here, man. This ketchup.
It's okay. It's not Heinz, is it?
No, it's not Heinz.
Thank goodness. Okay.
But it's also not Cleveland ketchup. It's fancy tomato, but it's not fancy Cleveland. Come on.
There is, I'll say, I'm glad that it's not Heinz, it's fancy ketchup, but there is no fancier ketchup than Cleveland ketchup. I'll be going home with probably not the ketchup, but we'll see.
Jalapeno mustard.
I'll be going home with some mustard. You guys have talked up the mustard so much.
You gotta go.
I go home with Burtman's mustard every time I come here. Right, it's in my suitcase. There's not a chance I'm leaving here without like 2 mustards or a mustard and a ketchup.
Yeah, the jalapeno mustard from there is top notch. Once you try it, let me know. We actually let you do a review. Blame game. So who's to blame? For me, I think you're in this game if you're plus or at least the same as far as turnover ratio. The 2 turnovers from Sanders really hurt us.
Did they score 9 points off turnovers?
9 points off turnovers.
And we lost by 3?
There you go.
So then we lost by turnovers.
See, simple math.
It's easy math. Without those turnovers, that's not how the game really works. That's not how involved. But we gave them 9 points and we lost by 3. You lost this game because you turned the ball over too much. And that is the Sanders issue. And no, this is not a Sanders versus Gabriel thing anymore where people are going to jump on here and be like, Gabriel wouldn't have done any better. I don't care. I don't need Gabriel to do better. I need both of them to be better than the future of quarterback. And this wasn't it. This wasn't good enough. So Again, I'm not willing to count him out, and I'm fully on board with the idea that he may be here next year, but he is the key reason we lost that game. The offensive game plan was clearly pretty good because they could score early. The defense did their part holding one of the best teams to 23 points despite 2 turnovers, giving them good field position to work with and just extra possessions. So the defense did their job. Special teams didn't blow it for you for the first time. And this time, which is a problem with losing teams, the offense didn't come through. And Judkins, there's nothing you can do about something like Judkins, but we wouldn't have been the first team in history to rally around that injury. Rocket Sanders did his job. Williams did his job. Can't blame the loss of Judkins on this one. This was the offense not being able to close the game and giving too many chances to a team you can't give chances to. The Bills are too good to give extra shots,
especially because the quarterback, dang it. He didn't have a good game.
Josh Allen
didn't have a good game.
And I was
He's
playing him in
to,
one of my fantasy leagues. He got this guy 7 points. And I was like, oh my God. Thank you, Browns defense.
You thought the Browns defense was going to let him score 30, but no, they played pretty good. We're going to do a future show on Kevin right here, Sam.
We'll have an offseason. So
offseason
I'll
show.
tell you what, like we'll see if he gets fired, we'll review his tenure here.
Even if he stays.
He doesn't get fired, we'll probably do a giant recap of this season and then his whole career. And we'll probably do what we did a year ago and compare him to other coaches from good and bad teams, just like we do with Andrew Berry, to say, like, how are you doing? I don't know. Let's look at these good and mediocre teams and see where you fit in.
Yeah. So that message was from Sam, who is on the Browns Morning Brew Show every Saturday at 10 o'clock. Tune into them this week. They're going to break down the Pittsburgh game. By the way, Miles has an opportunity.
That was good.
Dan.
Yep.
Well, a well-coached team wins close games.
That is true.
Yes.
And I would say we have not been doing that, but I also think a well-coached team doesn't have
rookies.
Yeah.
As main as your main start. Yeah.
This team is in a little bit of a disadvantage because they have so many rookies taking so many snaps, but also well-coached or not, the quarterback carousel is a problem. I would feel very different. Like every time you go to your backup quarterback, you should immediately think, okay, we're going to lose twice as many games as I thought.
Yeah.
That's just how quarterbacks work. If we just had a backup like Jacoby Brissett, somebody that we just knew, and he was a steady backup since Flacco for all these weeks, but it's not. It was 4 games of Flacco, 6 games of Gabriel, now 5 games of Shador. We just talked about how in 5 or 6 games, there's just so much going on. So while I agree that a well-coached team can win close games, I just don't. I think this team was more like is miraculously staying in a game to keep it close, because these are not close teams. This is a bottom 3 team in the league versus the Bills, who are trying to make a Super Bowl run. So the fact that you lost to them by 3 kind of shows that you are competing with a team out of your league more than they should have won it. Like, you can't coach intercept. Like, he's not coaching Shador to throw these interceptions. Like, that's just on him.
Matter of fact, that's what they're trying to do, but now he's being called too conservative. Because if he's being conservative with Sanders and he's still throwing picks, if you're not being conservative, what would that number look like?
Yeah.
So that would be my take. And somebody just said, look at the Chiefs last year. I mean, you're comparing Andy Reid to.
But you're also comparing. That's what I said. You're also comparing Patrick Mahomes, guys.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes.
Like I want Shador to succeed, but he's competing with Josh Allen right now, and that's what we need him to do. But let's not compare him to Andy Reid.
Andy Reid is top 5 coach in the league. Like, Kevin's obviously not there.
This is an honest question. If Andy Reid was a Browns coach this year, would they be calling for him to get fired?
Yes, because they called for him to be fired in Philly before he went to Kansas City.
That's my point.
Yeah,
Philly fans are so close to Cleveland fans, and the fact that they're like super passionate, but they're also like irrationally emotional.
We often forget losing in the midst of them winning. Andy Reid was cussed out of Philly because he could not win with Donovan McNabb and T.O. I said this in my podcast a couple weeks ago.
He did win a lot. He just couldn't.
He win the big one.
Win the big one.
But he gets to Kansas City, finds his quarterback, and wins 3. It's just that simple. Coach and quarterback. You married the coach. If Kevin Pun was quarterback, it would have been different.
Which is why I think it's funny that
Oh,
people are like,
yep.
well, we got Sanders here and we want him to stay. And I'm like, well, then you better hope that coach pulls it together because
One of the coaches.
one way or another, these two are probably in it to win
Yeah.
or lose it.
Yeah. So we got to end the show. This store is closing in about 9 minutes. Thank you for you guys, Cody, for opening up your wonderful place to our podcast. Come to the West Park location of the original Steak and Hoagies, right between Lakewood and Cleveland. You can't miss it. It's right on Warren Road. You come up, it's in the plaza. It's right next to a Mexican food restaurant. Don't go to the Mexican restaurant because it's going to give you diarrhea. This place here will fill your belly. And then you can bring the other half sandwich and eat it for lunch because Chad was full just off half.
Yeah, the sandwich
It
is
saves you money.
legit size.
So you pay about $15-ish, give or take,
By
for
the
2
way,
meals.
I'm just gonna be honest. It's not gonna make it to lunch. I'm gonna eat it in like an hour when I go home. Have a couple beers of it.
Yeah.
But I couldn't down it in one sitting, and that's impressive because I can take down a sandwich.
Yeah, so shout out to them. Come out to support this local business. It's owned by a local guy who lives here. He's not a guy that lives out in California like Chad. He's here. So support
He's not
him.
some West Coast.
Yeah, he's not a
coach.
West Coast guy that comes in and Zoom meets his employees. he's actually meeting. He interacts. And we've been
He's got
sitting
his
here.
Browns gear on
Yeah.
right now.
We've been sitting here, and he's interacted with every customer that comes in. They know his name. He's very personable, very friendly, and most importantly, he's a local guy. And we're a local
sandwich shop.
podcast and a local sandwich shop. It's not. It's good sub. Don't go to Subway. Don't go to Five Guys. Don't go to Old Charlie's. That's just a weird name to begin with. Come to the original Steak and Hoagies. The original Steak and Hoagies that originated from Philadelphia, in which they know how to build a hoagie. Make it make sense. With that being said, I gotta go. Me and Chet, you want to get a drink next door? It's on the Bearded Browns podcast. All right. Until next time, go Browns.
Go Browns.